And so we turn our attention to Wellington, New Zealand and the Westpac Stadium. Now you talk about historic occasions. The first time premiership points have left Australia's shores, and it's not quite sunny New Zealand, we can't say. Cold and wet in Wellington and windy as well. And Sydney and St Kilda to face off on the first time we've seen a double header on Anzac Day. And there's a lot to look forward to, I think, in this match as well, and a lot of excitement just about the fact that we're playing a game in New Zealand.
It has a bit of significance, doesn't it, the New Zealand and Australian alliance, and I really like what they're trying to do. They're spreading our game to other parts of the world, and New Zealand's so close, we should be there. The oval looks like it's going to be okay. It's a reasonable size, a bit smaller than the MCG, and the surface is good, but it'll be windy and it'll be wet and it'll be tough, and I think Sydney will have far too much power for them.
Well, the bounce of the ball's about 20 minutes or so away. You won't miss any of the live action tonight on Fox Footy. Jono, we were talking earlier today, you've been to the ground a number of times. Can you explain a little bit about us for people that are going to be tuning in and seeing this ground for the first time? What are the intricacies of it?
It's not a massive ground. It's got a nice width about it, but it's
were you on a junket?
No, I wasn't. Definitely not.
Yes, you were.
Promoting the game over in New Zealand with the AIS boys and high performance camp. Don't worry about that. But it's an excellent venue. You mentioned the surface, first class surface, no doubt there. And look, the guys, they had a training session on at both Sydney and St Kilda over the last couple of days to familiarise themselves with the ground. And look, St Kilda were over there with the AIS boys earlier in the year as well. So they've had a couple of visits over to New Zealand. And as we see there, you can see it's a fantastic stadium. Crowd's building as well. Yeah,
Saints have just entered the arena. Sydney already out there having a warm-up. Are you a fan of the New Zealand experiment, Roo?
Absolutely. If you can spread the game and get more people watching it and maybe even convince a few New Zealanders to start playing, it can only be good. So I think it's a good initiative, and good luck to St Kilda on the experiment.
We know Sydney will start warm favourites. Any chance in Kilda?
It's about time they gave some effort. I think some of their senior players are just coasting at the moment. They look like to me, and that's what I think. Well, who do you think? Most of their senior players get paid very, very well. Do you think they're really going flat stick? I don't think at this stage they're giving as much as they have in the past.
Well, we've got a real treat now on Fox Footy. It's a big task for St Kilda, and we now get to hear the pre-match address from their coach, Scott Waters.
On a day like today, deliver that. Don't forget the people that watch. Don't forget the jumper that you wear. Don't forget what this day means, right? And it's all about your efforts. Unconditional contest, right? Demand it from each other. That's it. Boys.
So certainly the significance of the occasion not lost on Scotty Waters and the St Kilda team again. We see the two teams running through the same banner in a show of solidarity and camaraderie. It really is a wonderful occasion.
It is, and they'll play it accordingly. Both these sides have been pretty strong over a long period of time. St Kilda probably on the way down, and Sydney trying to hold up the top of the ladder, and they've been sort of pacing themselves a bit. Sydney this year, they had a couple of easy games in round 1 and 2, did the job on North Melbourne in round 3, and last week the Cats just showed them that they're a serious premiership contender again this year.
Their midfield's a strength, isn't it, for the Sydney Swans at the moment. Sam Reid probably needs to fire a little bit more. They'd like to get a little bit more out of him in the forward end of the ground. For St Kilda, well, Cossie's back into the side.
Yeah, just
they'll certainly need him to have an impact. Nick Rewalt might actually appreciate the fact that Cossie is back in the side as well, that extra tool to take the extra defender.
Just before we continue talking about the St Kilda and the Sydney game, we are going to whip back to the MCG. It was a fantastic victory by the Bombers, and I think all Bomber supporters would love to hear the vigour and the gusto with which the players sung the theme song after the big win. But now we turn our attention fairly and squarely to Wellington, New Zealand for the game between St Kilda and Sydney. What do the Saints have to do to get themselves in this contest?
Well, they'll have to match him in the midfield where Sydney are dominant, like you said before. Josh Kennedy got tagged out of the game. I don't think he's been tagged too much, but Hall and Smith did the job on him, and I think he won the NAB Rising Star.
And scored going the other way on him as well.
So don't expect him to have a quiet one, but I think they wouldn't like to lose 2 in a row, and you just expect them to be too strong.
Well, no Stephen Milne as well for St Kilda after that suspension, so a bit more attention goes to Sard. I think Sard likes the fact Milne's there because he takes the best small defender. Sard usually gets up and around, but he'll attract the best today. Probably Smith. Nick Smith from the Sydney Swans will go to him, so he's in for a tough night. Ahmed Saad.
You can see Scotty Waters there. It's confused us all, I think, by what he said at the start of the year. They're a juggernaut, and then now they're rebuilding that 6 weeks later. I'm actually confused, and I think the players probably are too.
All right, just about ready to go. It's the second leg of a huge Anzac Day doubleheader. Right after the break, we head to Wellington, New Zealand, for all the action between St Kilda and Sydney. Welcome back one and all to the second half of an Anzac Day doubleheader, and we count down towards the pre-match ceremony at Westpac Stadium in Wellington as St Kilda prepare to take on the Sydney Swans. But right now we head back into the AFL Insider studio and we catch up with David King, David Parkin, and for the first time today we welcome Geelong champ Stevie Johnson.
We love it in here when Stevie arrives. Stevie, a fantastic occasion, no doubt about that. You played against Sydney last week and you were able to expose them defensively. It was un-Sydney-like what we saw last week. They weren't able to lay a glove on you, were they?
I don't know about that, Kingy. I think, we went out expecting a really hard contested game, low scoring like it always is against Sydney, but the way it worked out, both sides were able to score pretty easily in that first quarter.
A couple of opportunities you saw, you were able to achieve yourself, just a quick switch back in the middle. Was that a tactic or just your own brilliance?
I'm not too sure about that. I think if you wait too long for the Sydney Swans to set up, they close you down very quickly. So, I mean, if you've got someone on in the corridor, you just got to pull the trigger and back your leg really. Pretty much that's the way you got to do it.
Let's see if St Kilda can do the same today. David, what are you looking forward to seeing with the Saints?
Well, I hope the opportunities they create up forward that they do better. Maybe Cozzy coming back and gives them one extra towel, but they've made two changes, two small players that you would have thought were in the best side, and Milne going out on top of that makes the difficulty even at ground level. If they win contests up there, mark and kick goals will be okay. We'll have to see that they've got to get a result from their small blokes at ground level.
Hopefully Cozzy can influence that. Jace, we're going to review that at half-time. We've got some great graphics to show you. Let's see if the Sydney Swans can regain some form.
Well, it's certainly going to be a beauty, boys. I don't know if anyone's game enough to tip St Kilda. We won't go to the tips just yet, but Justin Kazisi, you're talking about before, he's a huge part of what's going to happen today, and he needs to reinvent himself. He needs to reinvigorate his career, doesn't he? Oh,
without question. He needs to get involved early somewhere, whether it's a big tackle, a big mark, just get involved in the contest. Even bring the smalls by bringing the ball to ground, bring the smalls into the game.
Yeah, a lot to play out tonight, but right now it's time to head to Wellington, the Westpac Stadium, for an historic clash between St Kilda and Sydney. The first time ever premiership points have been played away from Australian shores. We head now for the last post and the national anthems.
Guard is with us in honour of the Anzacs on Anzac Day and all those who followed them in the service of New Zealand and Australia. The Australian Football League invites you to join in honouring the memory of New Zealand and Australia's servicemen and women who gave their lives for their nations. Our thoughts too are with those currently on active service. Would you please stand for the Anzac observance? We welcome today Warrant Officer Dave Lark, Royal New Zealand Air Force, and the President of the Royal New Zealand Returned and Services Association, Lieutenant General Don McIver, CMG, OBE.
E kore rātou, e kore hekete. Pēnei e tātou, kua māhui nei. E kore hoki rātou, e kore hara. E kore hoki rātou, e noi kore. Aha kōpē hea, e nā hōrikore o te wā. E te hekena atu o te rā. Tainoa ki te āranga mai e te ata. Ka mōmahara tonu tātou ki a rātou. Ka mōmahara tonu tātou ki a rātou.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them. Lest we forget.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the Australian and New Zealand national anthems, to be performed by Samantha Jade and Stan Walker.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea, our land abounds in nature's gifts, a beauty rich and rare, in history's page
hear our voices we entreat. God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star from the shafts of strife and war. Make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand.
So now just a couple of minutes away from what will be the first ever AFL Premiership match for 4 points played on international soil. And that means it's a time for last-minute predictions. We start with you, Mark Rashuto. You were the one that lent most towards Essendon in the earlier game. Who do you go for
I'm
here?
going to lean strongly to the Swans here in the second game as well. Don't underestimate Saints. They haven't been too bad, although they've only got one win.
Jono, you were so bold in your predictions earlier. You even declared the medalist would be Harry O'Brien. What about tonight?
Well, I think the Swans will win. I agree with that. I think Lewis Jenner, I had him as the slingshot at...
He's the sub.
He is the sub. That's my problem. So it's in the fourth quarter now where he'll come on, he'll slingshot the Swans to victory.
Saints would have to improve a hell of a lot for mine to beat Sydney. Sydney are a real flag favourite and a chance to win one again. St Kilda are fading.
They are. Let's catch up with our expert analyst and first cab off the rank is David Parkin.
Chase, without doubt, Sydney rebound, ground size probably suits them. Saints can't win, Sydney by plenty.
Yeah, Parker, I agree. I think Sydney will come out with a real ruthless defensive mindset tonight. Their tackling pressure's been a bit down the first 4 weeks, and I expect their midfield to lead the way tonight.
I don't think they'll score, James. I think there'll be trouble at the forward end. I think their forward 50's failing at the moment, and they won't kick more than 7 goals.
Oh, you talk about going out on a limb. Great to see Stevie Johnson involved with our analysis of this game tonight. I'm also going for a pretty comfortable Sydney victory. I think they'll be stung pretty hard after that loss to the Cats last week. Oh boy, this is exciting stuff. The first ever game played away from Australia for premiership points. Nick Riewoldt, what sort of performance can he conjure up tonight? Certainly needs to show his very best form if he's going to get St Kilda into the contest. There's the sub Brad Johnson was talking about. Lewis Jenner, very hard to win the medal when you're the sub unless there's an injury early
that's
on.
Right, there could be, but
you never know.
If the game is tight, look out for this man. With his leg speed in the last quarter and a half, could be the difference.
There's no kick for 3
That's why he's starting to sub.
All right, we're going to have a new team led by Dermot Brereton in the studio here to take you through the halftime break and the post-match wrap-up. But we've got a great commentary team over in Wellington ready to call all the action here. That'll be led by Anthony Hudson, alongside him Gerard Healy, Danny Frawley and Barry Hall. Just the players going through their last paces here. And even though the Swans will be very confident heading into this match, it's that feeling of being on international soil, of being in such a foreign environment.
It's exciting for the AFL.
It is, isn't it?
I think it's very exciting for us, and
it's exciting for the players.
Absolutely, they get to play in a different place and a different. It won't matter there who'll win. The grass is the same, the sky's the same, everything's the same. It's just a new area to go. And TV-wise, this is a breakthrough. Have 2 games on one day.
Wouldn't Saints fans love to see Justin Kaczynski just grab a couple of big early marks, kick a couple of goals?
What's going on there?
Gee, there's some choppers in the Moscato from Big Mummy. Boy.
He might have another job we don't know about.
Oh, he could be the sub.
He's wound back the clock. That's straight out of the 80s.
The St Kilda midfielders are going to have a field day with Mumford tonight.
That's off-putting.
Kieran Jack will be right in amongst it. I see Ted Richards gets the job on Nick Riewoldt. That's going to be a great battle as well. So they're just about set to go at Westpac Stadium in Wellington. That's a fierce look on Big Shane Mumford. He's really gone for a statement there. Reece Stanley getting physical with Mike Pike. Jared McVeigh's been such a key player for them for so long. He just produced. What about that man, the evergreen Jude Bolton? He just gets better with age. He's like a fine wine, isn't he?
He's fantastic. He just steps up week in, week out, performs at a high level for Sydney.
So many good matchups to think about, and on paper the matchups look good, but we just think Sydney are a much stronger side. Dan Hanbury doesn't take a backward step. He's going to get plenty of attention though. Clinton Jones is going to get the job there.
And that's Nick Smith on side.
Let's head over to the Westpac Stadium. We join Anthony Hudson and team for the first bounce.
The perfect occasion for a new adventure for our great game. Anzac Day, game number 2, and we are away on international soil, Sydney and St Kilda, with the honour here in Wellington. And the ball goes over the line and out of bounds. Jared Healy and Danny Frawley, it's great to be here. A terrific atmosphere, a great 24 hours in the leader.
Yeah, it's been big around the town, Hutto. So much expectation. The crowd's been pretty healthy, a lot of turnout. Important for the game, but really important for St Kilda. They have got to kick-start their season.
Jack Stephen tried to do that, and that could be high. No, it's a throw in. It was already over the line.
It's great to be here, Huddy, and the Saints, 2 first gamers, Jared. What an opportunity for those boys. Brody Murdoch and Josh Saunders, who's starting as a sub for the Saints.
Yeah, and plenty of pace, and it's that sort of pace that they need to inject into the side long term.
And there's Murdoch getting right into the thick of the action, was able to get it out to Stephen. Oh, a hurried snap. Armitage wasn't bad, but quickly shut down. Lee, good to see him in for his second game. And he very nearly was on the scoreboard. Well, a man who was a great at both these clubs is Barry Hall, and you must be excited to watch these two sides in action too.
Oh, look, it's fantastic down here, boys. The atmosphere is really good. It's really cold. It's 15 degrees. It's a little bit dewy. The grass has got a bit of length to it. The grass is in magnificent condition. A little bit dewy, so it's going to be a real wet weather game today.
10 millimetres of rain this morning, so as Barry said, the outfield is a little bit damp. But we've all been taken here by the stadium and just how good it looks, Jared.
Yeah, great possibilities down the track. This is a purpose-built AFL ground, it seems, Hutto. But right now the Saints are dominating possession. That one, not great execution. The Swans have had just one kick, and that was from full back. And, well, Malcheski will get them into attack. It seems that the right act spud has been read at both clubs. One from St Kilda, they've made some serious changes at selection, and a message there to a number of players. But also, I think Sydney, time to get serious, boys.
Yeah, well, last week they only had 50 tackles, Jared. Sydney Swans, their lowest tackle count since round 19, 2010. They were ranked 1 in the competition last year.
Goods up into the middle, which is interesting. Ryan O'Keefe starting as a deep forward. You'd expect that they will interchange.
Plenty of tight stuff there, as you would expect, and the ball over the line from the Armitage clearance.
There's Tom Lee there, the first-round draft pick for St Kilda this year, recruited from the Waffle.
Ted Richards running with Nick Rewald.
Mumford in front, McAvoy over the top, Jack and McVeigh. Nick Smith is close to the line, and that is where it's headed.
And Grundy on Cozzy, who makes a welcome return to the team. He'll no doubt be the secondary ruckman, but he's got to pluck some and kick some goals.
He's got to create some goals. Create 4 or 5 goals, big Cozzy.
Hasn't had a great track record against the Swans.
Here he had a bit of a run at it and gets another chance now, but Kennedy, who was pretty well quelled last week, gets another opportunity. We talked about the ground. It's a similar length to the SCG, Jared, but a bit tighter.
Yeah, 7 metres on either side, skinnier if you like. But that's the same as most grounds. The SCG is almost a circle.
Revolt with a big tap out, and it could be run to effect. Jones gets buffeted out of it, and it's over again. So it hasn't gone too far so far.
No, it hasn't. Jared, it's interesting, the matchups. Nick Rewalt and Grundy played on Rewalt last time, and Teddy Richards did a very good job on Cozzy, kept them both goalless. Yep. So they've gone the other way around, John Longmire with the two Saint spearheads.
Well, the ball very much up for grabs. And the crowd hasn't really seen too much of our game yet open up. Now an opportunity. Goods, and you can hear the crowd start to get involved. And this is how the Swans like to play their footy. They don't quite like it like that, though. Fisher.
It's very interesting how Sydney have set up their forward line. They've gone very, very tall. They've got Pike, they've got Reid, they've thrown Ryan O'Keefe, if you've seen down there, and they've got Andreas Everett. So very tall for the conditions.
Well, that's obviously testing St Kilda's height in defence. And Murdoch gets his opportunity here with his first kick in AFL footy. And he's got plenty on it too. Oh, it's a great long kick. Cozzy.
Well, that was a magnificent long kick. And that's what we need from Big Cozzy, Jared. You talked about it. He just needs to create some goals. The best way to create them is take big, strong pack marks.
He's fighting for his future right now, Spud. He wouldn't have believed at some stage 10 years ago when he started in the game. If you had said you'll be fighting for your career, your life will be on the line as a player in Wellington, New Zealand. Yeah, but that's the facts.
Great opportunity on the world stage.
Well, there'd be plenty going through his head right now. He knows he has to kick it, and he got the thought processes right. It's a goal. Great start for the Saints, and Brody Murdoch involved in that setup too. And let's hear what the coach had to say about him.
Brody, where are you? You know why I chose you? Because I watched you last week. I watch you in the contest, and you've got a ferocity about you, kid, that I love. All right? First game, 100th game, I don't care. Birth certificate is irrelevant.
Fantastic insight. Scott Waters in the rooms talking to Brodie Saunders.
And I spoke to him before the game, Hutto, the coach, and he said that he had to have integrity at selection. Bottom line, if you're playing well in the seconds, if there's some holes in the senior team, reputations count for nothing, you'll get a Guernsey, and I think he's been rewarded already.
Oh, it's a fair message, isn't it, with the number of young players. So this is a really good start here for the Saints. Hayes to centre half forward. It was a careful kick. Mark taken by Dennis Lane. He'll be really
good lead, Rewalt.
Urgent, wanting to impress against his old side.
Geez, they're hard at it at the moment, the Saints. Well, they are right at it.
Well, they're dominating the game because they've been inside forward 55 times now, and Sydney yet to enter their forward 50.
McVeigh, it's a real struggle, hand-to-hand combat in there. Ross was able to get it out. And another youngster who's impressed in recent weeks too, Nathan Wright. A bit quieter last week, but the week before he was good.
He was excellent, yeah.
And the ball goes over the line and out of bounds. It's all pretty much been played at St Kilda's end at the moment, Jared.
Yeah, they've been most impressive, just winning every ball, every contested ball they're winning, and that was the formula for Scott Waters. It's something they've been really poor in. And the pressure is getting to the Swans right now, and it ends up in errant kicks from defence, just blind shots out of the dangerous area, and it comes up with a pretty fair shot, a shot that he should get, young Seb Ross.
Yeah, he is going for his first goal in AFL footy, just his third game. One last year, one this year. And a very gettable goal, and it's through. And the Saints with a dream start in Wellington.
Well, it hasn't been overly scientific at this stage. They're only running at 43% efficiency, the Saints, but what they're doing is they're getting more numbers around the ball. They're winning contested ball. They're putting pressure on the Swans. Look at this, it's just ferocity. And there's some danger signs here from Sydney. They're really interesting games, these ones. You go to a foreign city, you sit around for 15 hours, 10 hours today, and sometimes you can just lose your focus, but not the Saints.
So Seb Ross, what a wonderful feeling for him. He's now a goal kicker in AFL footy. Justin Kosicki has the honour of the first goal on international soil in a match for premiership points. And Seb Ross the second, and the Saints have done all the attacking so far. Just throwing some doubts in the minds of the Swans. In some ways, they've only played one really good quarter this year, Sydney. So there'll be some concerns. Kennedy attracted a crowd and some good tackling from Hayes. Armitage couldn't quite get it out of there. Now an opportunity from Kieran Jack to half forward, but Gilbert and Robertson quick to shut that down.
Well, they set up the extra in defence, and Robertson was onto it. And they are just looking so much sharper than Sydney at the present time, Spud.
Well, they're winning all the contested ball, Jerome, 11-6. They're winning the tackles 9-4. So all the key indicators, they're winning the clearances, and of course the inside 50s 5-0. Saints favour.
All the concerns for John Longmire and the Swans yet to have an inside 50. But what's going on here? There's a free kick going to the Swans. I reckon it might have been an interchange.
I think it was.
I reckon Cozzy went off. I reckon he was already off. I'm just guessing. It's a fairly short 50, just quietly. So it'll be Kennedy with a real bonus that St Kilda didn't need, but Sydney would certainly welcome it this stage. It was well quelled last week, Josh Kennedy, but he's coming in. We know what a player he is, and like just about all those Swans midfielders, he's a goal-kicking midfielder.
And that's been their great strength this year. It is the midfield kicking goals, and there is the issue.
I don't think because he ever came off properly through, maybe. That's because the ball went out of bounds.
He was competing with the mark and then walked off. You're right, Hutto, that's where it was. That's a settler for Sydney, though, isn't it? It was against the flow. They'll be pretty disappointed, the Saints, because they've dominated the game so far.
So So if it is Justin Kazitsky, he'll be a little disgruntled about that. It's cost them a goal.
Adam Goods has gone to full forward. Ryan O'Keefe you'll find somewhere in the middle.
Stephen in the long sleeves coming off the wing and getting him off a couple of times. Back to Robertson. High ball. Certainly suited Smith more than Sard. Jones. Looks like he's running with Jack so far. Stephen goes and goes again. Opportunity for Sard. Going one way, Tom Lee the other. Grundy. Revolt was a present to the top of the square. Nice little engagement by Dennis Lane, but he didn't count on Big Mike Pike getting back there. O'Keefe for Hanbury.
Brilliant from O'Keefe. If he had taken the ball, he would have been pinged. Just flicked it up with a punch. Just a one-handed punch.
Adam Goods and Hanbury powers on. Gets into the action. McGlynn. Saints have got an extra couple back in the 50, so that's what McGlynn's seeing now. Spies something he likes. It's Reid on the move, but it wasn't well directed. Gilbert.
Now they're getting back in numbers beautifully, the Saints, to support each other at the moment.
Doing most things right. Tanya blasting away to the wing. Lee and Grundy did as well as he could have there, Lee. It allows Parker, though.
Oh, that's smart play from Parker. Ran to the front of the pack, picked it up, came inside, and this bloke continues to impress.
Long to Reid.
One of two inclusions, Craig Bird. Now Reid, Gilbert pushed it at just the right moment.
Well, that was a magnificent play. I thought that was a real strong kick from Sydney, but great strength there from Sammy Gilbert. Big job for him playing on Sam Reid.
It is, but you'd expect him to run off and be a launch player from that half-back line. And that's something the Swans are missing at this stage with their two half-backs not playing.
Another contested Marcus and Kilda.
Yeah, covering plenty of territory as we know that he does. Kick to the wing again, and almost the mark to Murdoch. He looks a nice size for a young man on debut. Of course, his brother plays for the Cats, Jordan Murdoch.
Mumford getting in down below and getting the ball out. A few question marks about when he's going to reach his top again. Poor handball from the Swans.
No good from Everett, was it? Hanbury goes in to try and retrieve the situation, but can't. What's the umpire? He's not going to make a call on this one. That's a bounce. Crowd really starting to get involved now in this contest. It's going to be a grind. I think the conditions are going to ensure that, and these two sides are going to be hard at it. Stephen. Hanbury got them out of a tight space. Gilbert and Reid again.
It was disappointing last contest by Reid. I reckon we know he can jump at it, we know he can catch it, we know he's a good lead. But one-on-one, he's got to bring that ball to ground at minimum. To be outmarked by Gilbert in the goal square is just not acceptable.
Big challenge for young Wright, picking up Jude Bolton, who has been pretty dangerous in that forward line. But he hasn't minded giving some responsibility to young players here today, Scott Waters.
No, I like it. I like the fact that St Kilda are going for the really young team, a fresh team, and Scotty Waters is throwing the challenge out to his youngsters because they are the future for the Saints.
What a great look, Jared.
Well, it's a look that his ruck coach used to wear back in the days, the 70s.
Stephen Talbot.
Old Torbo. Young, well, he is old now. But he's been really keen for Shane Mumford to get back to his best. He's been just going in the first couple of rounds, and he really does equate to one of the significant bonuses the Swans have picked up in the draft.
Del Santo calls on Dempster, who likewise needs Revolt to pull something out of the hat because it was all Swans there. It wasn't all that well designed, that whole piece of play. Hanbury, Rampy, Reid.
Sloppy skills Richards. At the moment for Sydney. When it's tough conditions, but at the moment the Saints are handling it better. They just looked a little bit more switched on. Now we know the Swans have got more ability, but if they don't lift, they will find themselves in a real tug of war.
And head down, bottom up stuff for the Saints at the moment. Good blue collar approach they've got, which Seb Ross cleared it to the wing. Richards, pivotal battle obviously with Richards and Revolt tonight. Grundy, Nick Smith, Swans start to open things up with a switch. Ahead, O'Keefe powering up to look and lead here and try and give him a couple of options, Rampy inside or down the line. Goes longer than O'Keefe though. He goes for Mumford. At the back, Fisher.
Good running from Geary.
They mop up. Geary.
He's on Ryan O'Keefe. He pushed up the ground and covered O'Keefe, and then when the ball went over his head, he got back the quickest.
Saints with a Maori-inspired special Guernsey for tonight's game. Done a great job with that. Now Jack, Stephen.
In fact, we're down a couple of thousand supporters because there weren't simply enough planes for people from Melbourne and Sydney to get here.
Grundy, maybe was a little over-ambitious with the kick. He had a shorter option, didn't take it. Stanley and Good, some athleticism between those two. Kick to half forward. Grundy hard at it, straight ahead. Nick Smith, and the backup is Matner, who's having a bit of trouble hanging onto the soap at the moment. Nick Smith. Oh, he also has trouble getting it onto the boot in any sort of straight fashion.
The ball's really slippy. You look at the kicking effectiveness of both teams. Sydney are going to 38% by foot and Sydney going to 42%.
O'Keefe. Mumford.
I think we're going to see a bit of this. The Swans have got the tools. They'll bang it in and just hope to win it at ground level. But so far, the Saints are doing the job.
Well done. Robert out-muscled Hanbury. Free kick to the Saints.
It's been good defensemen for Kilda. Mumford's had Murdoch on a few occasions, one-on-one, which is clearly a mismatch, but the support the Saints are bringing back in their defence has not made that relevant.
Now, Baz, can I ask you a question one of the Saints fans asked you as we walked around the boundary before the game? Who are you barracking for tonight?
I'm on the fence for now. I'll just see who's going to win.
Lee kicks the ball up to the wing, and Richards returns the favour, tacks the mark.
Big job for Dan Hanbury. He was absolutely battered last week. He's backed up and played, which is a great effort. But now he's got Clint Jones, who's going to make it difficult for him, Spud, to get his hands on the ball.
Now, we know what Clint Jones, you have a look at Clint Jones, the way he goes about it. He just plays tight. He allows Montagna and Del Sando to play their natural game.
In fact, he just made a switch at that last stoppage and went on to their skipper, McVeigh, who's been in unbelievable form.
He has. Hanbury got involved.
Good pressure, the Saints.
Yeah, Kennedy couldn't do anything meaningful. It was just a slight high tackle.
Yeah, again, it was the forward line. It was the frontal pressure as well, Jared. Not only the tackling pressure from the Saints, but they're really forcing Sydney to turn the ball over at the moment.
Jack Stephen goes in search of Lee. Tommy Lee up the ground. Could be one of those players where you actually feel like you've got to say his first and second name together, Tommy Lee.
Another great duel. Lenny Hayes and Josh Kennedy there just left of screen.
They're a natural matchup, aren't they, really? Yep. Armstrong, some work to do because Saad flashing through your screen. Terrific play. Top of the square, Swans with the extra number. Grundy manoeuvred himself into the right spot, and Armstrong bounding away off half back.
And this is what they've got to get out of Armstrong. Yep. Plenty of rebound. No Reece Shaw, no Alex Johnson. Much better play there from the Swans.
So because he's off the ground, that's why Grundy marked that ball. And I think there's no doubt Scotty Watters will be looking at that to maybe try and keep Cozzy down there as much as he can.
Oh, this is why he's an underrated key forward. He's not a key forward but forward, because Jude Bolton can hold you out and he takes really good contested marks.
And they need another down there, but Mike Pike couldn't oblige. Clearing kick was a good one, back to the wing. And away it goes from Dennis Lane over the line and out of bounds.
But it's almost as if the Saints are anticipating better the long kick to the dangerous spot by the Sydney Swans. They have more numbers down there, and it's going to make it difficult for anybody to crumb it.
And as Baz talked about earlier, Sam Reid is not in great touch at the moment. He's the one that can really set the big pack mark up for Sydney. He's off the ground at the minute.
Armstrong, Parker, Revolt, Stanley flies over the top. Montagna got it to Jones.
Good breakout.
And they piece it together well.
Got Geary in the middle.
And we've already seen Murdoch look good. And Geary decides to go with it. And the force is with him. It's goal. No. Marked on the line.
No, it's a goal. It's a goal.
We're going to get a review.
You're going to pay behind it for a juggle pass. Okay.
We thought it was a marker of nothing, but he's playing it behind.
He's a point juggled over the line. Can you please review?
That would make
he said he
laws of physics challenge.
He juggled it. I thought it was a clean chest mark, but the goal umpire was in the best position. We'll have a look here.
Unless it bubbled backwards. This will be interesting.
Hey? Well, he thinks it's juggled over the line. So we just
it hit the hands first and then it went into the chest mark.
But I just thought it was a blind chest mark.
So he's saying his chest was over the line, but his hands weren't, basically. Well, there's no way you can dispute that from that angle. The angles.
He's in the best position.
You completed, marked.
Okay. Teddy, it's a mark. Behind the mark. Now wait.
In real motion, I thought it was a clean chest mark, but it did bobble on the slow-mo.
It bobbled, it has to be behind.
How could they dispute what the umpire said there? Anyway, Parker. Bolton again. Parker. Reed, lovely give for Kieran Jack. The square was vacant. It was a temptation he was after. And he took a second crack. And again, the Saints ramping things up here. Good pressure, and the crowd appreciate it as well. When it's over the line and out of bounds. And the Saints fans, I'm sure, really pleased that one was quelled effectively.
Oh, it saved a certain goal. For 17 tackles to 9, St Kilda's favour. Their work rate's first class, the Saints.
Well, free to Pike, was it?
And that's just a relief. St Kilda, dominating the game, the contested ball, a couple of easy free kicks just releases the pressure on Sydney.
It's always been a pretty good shot at goal, Shane Mumford, so this one is certainly within his capacity on a dry day. On a wet day, it's all about getting good connection with the ball and hoping it doesn't slide out of the hand.
The ship needs a little bit of steadying at the moment for the Swans. And unfortunately for Mumford and Sydney.
I've got to say, though, going back to the mark before the kick before the contentious mark, the locals who haven't seen the ball kick that far before, they were very excited with it.
Dempster, precision kick required there. Jaron Geary. He's certainly in that group of Saints that needs to really come on. Geary, there's a whole age group missing in their list.
Good defensive punch.
That was really good play.
So the guys that are 21 to 23, they need to lead the way to some degree, Jared.
They do, Hutto. Obviously at the draft table, they will look for some senior players to fill it.
Hayes.
Free agency also gives them that opportunity, but I think Scott Waters has taken on the challenge. He knows there's some issues with his list, and he is going to try and do something about it.
There's 5 players tonight under 5 games. And that is the most number of players under 5 games since 1995.
Yeah, it's a bold move. It's a really bold move at selection. It's an important day. He knows that. And he's backed them in.
Lenny Hayes has started extremely well for the Saints, coming up to disposal number 7.
Parker. I'm sure the coach would love to see that. To full forward. Hanbury, Stevens, and the conditions combining to shut it down. Ross back into the middle. Already was just a fraction slow. Robertson and Rewalt both outstanding with their anticipation. Geary, the give was good back to right. It's close to the line. It's over and out. It's interesting. You talked about the tackles. John Longmire talked about them post last week. He was really disappointed with their pressure. Wanted a better effort tonight.
Yeah, basically it was missed tackles, and it's, once we looked at that, and sometimes you can complicate it a bit too much, but we had some really poor missed tackles that Geelong were able to break, and they can't be done tonight if we're trying to be successful.
Again, right off half back, Stephen and Hayes.
There's the tackles there. St Kilda 19, Sydney 10. So that's a real worry for John Longmire and the coaching staff. They've talked about it all week. Get St Kilda out tackling them, which is taking nothing away from the Saints. They've started extremely well.
They have Malcheski providing the dash. Dempster.
Yeah, it's a double whammy though, isn't it? Sometimes you can have more tackles, but be getting at the numbers up there because you haven't got the ball in your hand. But the Saints are the ones that are well ahead in possessions as well.
And contested possessions. So really good indicators for St Kilda fans, but it's only early days. I'd love to have more on the scoreboard.
They dragged the ball in there.
Bolton gives it to Henry. Got to run up. That's when he does his best work. Couldn't mark that time though. McLean just willed himself Here's Teddy Richards, a rare venture forward. He's liking the shape of that. Ted's excellent adventure into the forward line.
And the goal comes from a half-back player. And what's the numbers of old, Spud, about why the tall forwards aren't kicking goals for Sydney? Maybe that's the reason. Maybe because it's almost impossible to take marks in those sorts of conditions. And, Reid is jumping and he's bringing the ball to the ground, but that's where the space is. It's actually now 45 metres away from goal. It was a good rebound goal by Ted Richards and a good give.
Sydney in front for the first time. There's a bit of a Sydney chant going up around Westpac Stadium.
Cozzy back into the ruck.
Del Santo caught one very high from Parker. Kazitsky decided to go with the 55-metre bomb. And it goes to Revolt and it creates a goal. How's that for a quick response?
That's great play from Cozzy, because he was the first to know you get a quick entry inside your forward 50 as a key forward, you're going to be one-on-one. Yep. And it was a chaos kick, but it created a lot of chaos. You can see here the free kick, and then Cozzy was aware that the advantage was paid, just gets the ball on the boot. Very hard to read that wobbly kick, and Rewald over the back. That was a dangerous place there. Ted Richards just kicked the goal, and the skipper said, well, you kick one, I'll get one back.
It was interesting, you saw there Ted was going to go the ball himself, then he got edged out of it and his man did the damage.
Poor old Ted didn't get long to enjoy the glory of the goal, did he? Got one and then conceded one immediately afterwards. And St Kilda's lead is restored here in Wellington. Mumford the tap. Stevens been causing a bit of havoc. Hanbury.
Stevens had plenty of them.
The Swans are able to thrust it forward. And that's going to be a set-up now after Kennedy's kick.
Ryan O'Keefe looks to be playing that half defensive role. He hasn't had much of an impact. He's only had the one kick. It looks like that he's either going to play on Dempster or Fisher and keep them really honest. So, but the benefit of it, he'll be able to go in the midfield at some stage with his run.
Tanya was in there. Kazitsky, Armitage, got buried in all of that. Geary, a couple of efforts at it. Hanbury. Kennedy, the pressure pass from one, but they gradually got into a better position. Nick Smith, unscientific kick, but could have very promising results. Armstrong just changed his mind midstream. It was a good decision as Jack lined them up. Couldn't light them up.
Good hands from Tony Armstrong then. It's been greasy, but the St Kilda pressure has forced Sydney with their hands to turn over a little bit. That was a lot cleaner. Tony Armstrong.
Sydney's
intercept on.
Opportunity here.
Well, Benny McGlynn, if he had been any other player on the ground, they would have marked that. Unfortunately, he's a little bit compromised in the height department, and he could only get a spoiling fist onto it. But it was really well read.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, Jared.
No, Anthony, I'm with you.
Mumford, Stephen again.
It's going to be one of those nights, I think, Spud.
Well, Sydney have actually worked their way back into the game because of all these stoppages, Jared. They're nearly level pegging now, the contested ball. The inside 50s, they're up by 3 now, the Swans.
Still nothing pretty when they go forward, though. It is just still long bombing stuff.
It can be a dangerous kick, but this time the Saints are in the right place.
The fast breaks on here for the Saints if they can win it.
There's absolutely nobody ahead of the players at that stage towards St Kilda's end. That's all changed now.
Well, Ben McGlynn was very lucky then. He elected to bump Nick Revolt instead of tackling.
Ahmed Saad and Nick Smith. Saad was smelling out a quick break goal.
Jack, the thrust and parry of it all.
I guess where they just had to lay that up by hand.
Bird, and there's the safety. Dempster, of course, a former Swan himself. Standing an interesting kick. It was a low bullet out to the wing. Lee, the handball moving. That designs on Lee Montagna. Hanbury. Shuffle it around. Poor old Marty Manna goes to ground as he kicked it to half forward. Tough night for the big blokes. Here again, Pike. Stubbed it into the 50. Goods. The traffic went past and allowed him some clear space. Jack and now McVeigh. Has he got enough leverage? Oh, has he got enough leverage? What an outstanding player he is.
Yeah, that's his 11th goal this year. He's a goal-kicking midfielder now. That's why he's the go-to player. That's why Clinton James is on him. This is better hands. Smart play from Mike Pike to keep the ball alive because Adam Goods just had the awareness, could have blazed away. Error the handball there, but Kieran Jack just opened it up.
He's around the corner though, Spud.
What a great goal.
That is a huge kick around the corner.
That was a magnificent... He's had a fantastic start to the year. He's been their #1 ranked player this year. Joe McVeigh, outstanding start to the season. Going for 3 disposals, but that one really counts in a low-scoring game.
And it counts particularly because the Swans are now in front. Pike was given an armchair ride there. The umpire thought better of it.
Well, they responded really quickly last time the Swans kicked a goal from Kilda, so here's another opportunity for them. And sadly, I think Lenny Hayes thought he was about to get a piece of the goal-scoring action.
McAvoy had the last say with a big swipe down. Hayes brought the gate. Desperation that has been his trademark for so many years. Swing and a miss from Ratner. Opportunity beckons. Seb Ross to full forward. Tommy Lee and Richards. Reweltman on the ground at the moment. Nick Smith there.
Nick was the only one who kept his feet.
Good pause.
Well, they've got the overlap here. Hanbury will be the recipient. If he moves it quickly, he's just going to kill the clock.
He had 20 seconds. Kick to the wing to the advantage of Canterbury, who know they're coming, but it won't stop him flying for it.
Yeah, Canterbury absolutely filthy that that ball didn't come quicker. It was all set up. It was just a chip over the top, and he bailed out on it. He might have been told, of course, that the siren was just 20 seconds away, so it's hard to know what info he was processing.
Siren sounds to end the first quarter of AFL football played on international soil for premiership points, and the Swans find themselves in front.
Now it's been a pretty scrappy start to the game. A lot of contested ball. Fantastic start for the Saints, but Sydney Swans, you could just sense the last 10 minutes they started to get the game on their terms by winning that contested ball and the clearances.
So the Swans up by 2 in this wonderful city of Wellington. We've had some lovely weather. We had a bit of cool weather as well. The wonderful sights of Wellington, very picturesque, some terrific landmarks, and everyone who's been part of the invasion from both Melbourne and Sydney have enjoyed themselves in the last couple of days, catching all the sights in the lead up to this big game. What an occasion it is for AFL footy.